I don't necessarily know the answer to this question yet, but I think when we're all done, we will. I'm Ed Celaya. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm one of the principals with K-12 Specialties. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to use this. Is that better? I'm Ed Celaya, and I'm one of the principals with K-12 Specialties. Thank you for being here. If all things go really well, we'll have you out of here right at 11 o'clock. If things don't go so well, the restrooms are outside this door and then through the double doors in the main part of the building, straight in past the reception. The men's restroom has a name tag on it. It says men, and the door directly opposite it has some great children's artwork on it. And I'm sure it's the women's restroom, but there's no name tag on it. Okay, so, but I know there are two, so that's the housekeeping. There is more than enough to eat back there. Eat and drink. Please take advantage of that any time during the morning's work, and you can do that without raising your hand. It is not supposed to rain today, so if you're able, if it works for you, turn your cell phones down so at least you get about 2 hours apiece, and we'll work through that as well. I've got a few introductions to make, but after those housekeeping issues of where the restrooms are, we're going to talk today about green cleaning. Why now and why not? I'm going to introduce for you a couple of speakers in just a minute. We're going to talk about developing a green floor care maintenance program and why that's important and why we think that's different than maybe some of us have been doing for a long time. In my case, almost 30 years doing it differently. How to implement that program and how to sustain and measure a program. I was talking with Ken from Riverside Unified a few minutes ago, and probably like with most of you, the topic of the day, certainly following January 8th, Realize, is about how to do more with less. And I don't know about all of you, but we've been doing more with less since the mid-'70s when Proposition 13 kicked in, and they changed the way public schools gained revenue from the state levels. And it seems that some 25 years later, we're still doing more with less. This program today is a little bit about how to continue doing that, but in a different way. And I hope that at the end of this time, you found that your time with us was beneficial. I think the first thing I want to do is I want to introduce our two speakers today. Dr. John Shieh, where are you? Dr. John Shieh, in the back of the room. His bio is in your packet. You don't need a whole lot from me on Dr. John Shieh. And then Steve Focht, who's here from New York City and Baltimore, Maryland. And you'll pick right up on that. He talks a little different than we do, but he's a good guy. Going to talk to you a little bit about how we implement green programs and how we in public service can manage and maintain their success. To my immediate right is Ray Garcia with K-12 Specialties. Ray and I worked together and met in Pasadena Unified a long time ago, and then in Charter Oak. I'm not going to ask you to introduce yourselves. That's why we outfitted you with name tags, and thank you for providing those names. I hope we didn't misspell them too terribly. We've got a couple of people in the room. Christy, you met, provided you with all the documents and the tablets and what have you. And then also in the back, would you raise your hand? Chris Shieh is here from UltraChem, as is Brother Benjamin. Thank you. It's really good to see you. Most of us have known each other a long time, and I think the empty chairs represent some more of those folks that have known many of you and known me for a long time. So with some luck, they'll be here in a while. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. John Shieh. And John is going to talk a little bit about green cleaning, about toxicology, and some of the things we find in our custodial closet.
Good morning.
This is for you. You want this? You don't want that?
Can everybody hear me? Okay. We'll try and talk without the microphone. Sometimes it's difficult because I talk with my hands. My name is John Shieh. I'm with UltraChemLabs, and I was not always just a chemist. I was not always a chemist, but I used to be a stripper, a floor stripper. Yeah, I know what you guys are thinking about. Yes, every room that needs to be stripped, the student has to go and do that. We go in and do stripping floors when air conditionings are shut off because of energy savings. We have very little lights and we have no hot water going into a floor with very harsh chemicals at that time. And even right now, I see that on the market. And we used to lay the stripping compound down, and you're supposed to leave it with hot water. So you start looking for hot water because the tank, the hot water tank in that school system has not worked since President Reagan was in presidency. So basically, we have to strip with no hot water, and a lot of times we even try to heat water with a coffee machine. So we have taken some water from coffee machine. Because I was still going to school at that time, I brought my worst sneakers that I could find that has holes and everything else, because I don't want to wear a good shoes while I'm stripping floors. That's only natural. Of course, then the strippers start leaking into your shoe or sneaking into your shoes. And at night, when I look at my toes, it's glowing in the dark. And this sounds familiar, it sounds funny, but that's how we used to strip floor. And don't tell me you're still doing it now, right? Our people are still doing it now. That is part of when I started to think of coming back into this industry after I left that industry. I asked my supervisor, I said, why do I have to strip floors every time I come to work? He said, well, you're a student, and plus, nobody wants to strip floors. You know, you're the only one that's going to strip floors, because by the time you're gone, we get another student, and they can suffer what you're doing, because we suffer for a long time. Now we get a chance to get back to you. I said, well, don't worry about this, because I'm going to school. I'm going to learn about this chemistry thing, because everybody hates chemistry. So I said, I'm going to learn that, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to make sure that we don't have to do that anymore. And that was my commitment many years ago, many years ago. So, of course, the supervisor said, yeah, college boy, shut up and just do what you're supposed to do, you know. But when I said that, I had a real commitment in my heart that there was a need for this kind of chemistry to be in this industry, to be introduced to this industry. So what I talked about is quite familiar. Like, how many of us here has literally worked in the cleaning industry? Yeah, we have quite a few that has swung the mop.
You didn't ask that question. You didn't ask how many years has swung the mop.
Clean. Oh, okay. So what we need to do this morning with you is, of course, we're going to learn. This is supposed to be a learning room. So what we're going to learn here is we're going to take home with us, I hope today, that we can make a proper and correct decision with chemicals. So that's the light that I'm going to be shining for you. So every time, if you don't remember or if you need any assistance even after this seminar, I would be more than happy to be answering your questions. And even if we are gone, Ed Celia will be there to answer